Welcome to another Valley Access Channel sponsored COVID-19 related program that addresses the pandemic's impact on our local communities. This program will focus strictly on our community's businesses. My name is Marguerite Reinberger. While I hold an advanced degree in public health, you don't need any degree to know that our economy took a hit. Some companies and businesses actually prospered. Others did not. The lockdown wreaked havoc for many people's lives, as you know. Joining me today is Robin Anthony, the Executive Director of the Greater Stillwater Area Chamber of Commerce. Robin was one of my guests back in March. Gee, that feels like forever. And of course, the weather has certainly changed. The shutdown at that point was in its initial weeks. You were as optimistic as could be. I couldn't believe it, and I am considered Miss Optimist myself. So, Robin, would you please introduce yourself and tell us how long you've done this position, and also the two guests that have joined us.
Great. Thank you very much. Again, my name is Robin Anthony, the Executive Director of the Greater Stillwater Chamber of Commerce. We serve all the communities between Afton and Marine and everything in between. And of course, we love our mothership, the downtown Stillwater area. Today with me is Megan Palm. She's the co-owner of the Daily Grind coffee shop down here. Great place to stop in at. And also Judy Johnson from the Bayport American Legion. She is a club manager there.
Thank you, all three. I take my glasses off when there's been a cloud covering the sun. Hopefully that'll be more often. Robin, before I talk with our guests, in a nutshell, what have you witnessed and what frustrations have you encountered since our last encounter in March?
Well, downtown Bayport, downtown Afton pretty much was a ghost town there, straight out of the chute with the stay-at-home orders. I actually was on vacation in California in March. I came back 2 days early when I kind of caught wind how severe this was. And I'm very worried about the economy. I'm very worried about our local small businesses here. It's been a real challenge getting all the information from the federal government and the state and trying to understand policy as they really were making it up as they were going along.
And we'll get on to more of that later.
Absolutely. Yes. So, of course, my biggest concern are the local businesses and, their health and wealth.
I remember as a Stillwater native, during that time, I would walk downtown. It was so sad. And in your head, all the decades of memories, and it was like, will it ever recover anywhere to near where I remember? It was just so really sad. So I can imagine how it felt when you have a financial interest in it, really bad. There's still businesses, Robin, that in our community have yet to reopen, and what are the reasons for that? And you don't have to give names, it's up to you, but I'm curious.
Yeah, thank you. Absolutely. There are a few businesses that have not reopened because it's a personal choice. There are some businesses that have not reopened because of staffing and trying to, it's hard to reopen some of these businesses if the revenue isn't coming in because the expenses outweigh what would be coming in if they were to open. And so, it's a business choice, personal decision, a health choice, a lot of different answers to that question.
Do you and or they feel optimistic that they ever will open?
Yes, absolutely. I think that we've come a long way in a really fast time. I mean, if you think about how fast education was able to pivot and do homeschool learning, and how fast we were able to, once we were able to be open at 50% capacity with the retail stores and the restaurants, how fast our local businesses, they stepped up. They stepped up, they did what they needed to do, and I anticipate we'll continue to move in forward direction.
And just as I remember not too many months ago, walking up and down Main Street, not even encountering anyone, it's amazing now to see so many, and I would guess we have a lot of out of the Stillwater area visitors who are thrilled to have Stillwater in our Oak Park Heights, Bayport, Lakeland open. I mean, that is an obvious based on the number of people I've seen. Which types of businesses do you feel recovered better than others as of right now?
I would say the restaurants and the bars really stepped up, and also the retail stores. They work together. The Chamber of Commerce started a business recovery committee, and we had about 25 people. We were meeting weekly, talking about ideas and really learning from each other, sharing information, and everyone had everyone's backs. So it wasn't competitive, it was collaborative.
And I agree with that. I didn't feel that, didn't see it. I'm going to now address Megan and my favorite person down in Bayport. Okay, please tell me from your experience what you went through, and it can be in a nutshell if you want, since the shutdown started to right now. Yep.
Well, most people know that the Bayport Legion is... Oh, I'm sorry. The Bayport Legion is nonprofit. So basically, the only money that we bring in is from the bar and from our food sales, which are Friday nights. But our gambling operation, which is huge, last year we were first in the state for gambling through the veterans organizations. We sold over $10 million in gambling last year. We gave out over $500,000, and then when COVID hit, it literally shut down everything. So we suffered a lot. We did manage to do curbside dinners still on Friday nights, but that was all we had. We had to shut down our whole gambling operation and all of our bars and restaurants. So the house really was paying the bill for all of our staff. We were able to get a PPP loan.
And I'll get into that later. Yep.
Which did help.
Yes.
But we struggled just like everybody else. And at this point, we are not looking at closing our doors. We're still going to struggle through and try to keep open for as long as we possibly can and hope that COVID doesn't shut us down again.
And I'll get into that one too. You're hitting on a lot of topics that
Yep.
are extremely important in today's program. When you say you get $500,000, that's significant. Is that to the local community?
It is. So we give to many charities. Youth is a very large charity that we give to. So we give to the school districts, sporting. We literally rebuilt the hockey. We gave them all new uniforms last year. We have 2 Legion teams that are out of Matamidi, and that we support and pay for, and they travel all over the United States. We give to veterans, PTSD, people who are in need of service dogs. We give to like Family Means, Senior Center. So really it's cancer. It's pretty much anybody who asks for money, we give to them.
Right.
And it is on a monthly basis. And so depending upon how much money our gambling operation brings in, that is what we're able to give out.
Were you able to sustain any amount of that during
No.
that time? Okay.
Gambling literally had $0 left
Got it.
when COVID hit because we had to pay tax. And it pretty much wiped out gambling. So,
Megan, tell me about what your husband and you went through during this time.
We, first of all, are more fortunate than a lot of the places down here. We were never required to shut down completely.
And tell them why.
No idea.
Okay, and this is why I bring this up. There was this brick place over in Savage, and I go, I'm just shocked you're open. And they go, oh, well, we had an attorney make an argument to the state, and somehow a brick place was open and never shut down.
Yep.
So I'm always curious, picking and choosing of what was open, what wasn't.
Exactly. So we never, my husband and I shifted earlier than other people because our children now had to come to our store. So they've actually been coming to our store for 107 days.
No
with
child
us.
labor or anything going on, right?
They quarantined off. We had to do the schooling while we were working as well. But we changed the store beforehand. So we had it so only a couple people were allowed in at a time. We did curbside pickup. We did a lot of things that were just trying to make it through that beginning phase of it. We did everything we could. We did have to go just to my husband and I and no employees at the time, but we also did that so that we could limit how many people were around us as well, because, everyone was very scared. I'm still, you got that. But we saved on that one, but they were covered as well with the unemployment thing too. So, and then we also, through our store, helped the bookstore because they weren't allowed to be open, but we were allowed to pass books through sales.
Love it.
Through our store. So we kind of worked together with that one.
Collaboration, right, Robin? Just as you
if
said.
we're
Yeah,
allowed
it's
to be
awesome.
open, it
Right,
was
no,
just
I got it.
passing
I
through,
got
and the bookstore is my love too. So, we've been okay. It's definitely hurt, but our customer base is so amazing that they took care of us. I feel really bad for a lot of the retail. That is harder. If you didn't have an online platform that you could get the stuff quickly to people, that one was a lot harder.
What percentage of previous employees are who never left? Did you lose any
No.
at all, Judy? You didn't.
I did.
Yeah.
They left for personal reasons, but luckily for me, I shouldn't say I'm going to say we as a Legion,
Yes.
because people love the place so much, we were able to, as soon as the two employees decided to move on, I literally had somebody hired the same day to fill their spots. So essentially, no, I actually gained an extra person throughout all of this.
How about that fish fry?
Fish fry actually is today. So it's wonderful. We lost out on, because our fish fries during Lent
Yes.
are huge. And COVID hit right smack dab in the middle of
I
it.
was wondering on that, right.
And so we lost a lot of revenue on that. However, we're still up and going. We're still moving and grooving, and we're not going to let it break us. We're just not.
I'll go back to you and then to Megan. What fears, if any, had you have to address of patrons?
Fears?
Yes, like I know someone who owns a restaurant. He's abiding every which way you can by the government regulations, but he's getting calls from patrons. Are you doing this? Are you doing that? And almost to the point I think he feels micromanaged, but he's okay, because as long as he's got the doing what they're hoping he's doing, then they come.
Mm-hmm. Well, the Bayport Legion brings in a lot of senior citizens, so the older generation, and knowing what we know, the COVID hit a lot of the elderly people. We've had a hard time getting them to come back in. Staff wears masks. I have hand sanitizers everywhere. I disinfect every table, every stool, every chair when people get up to leave. We are abiding by all of the rules. I'm taking temperatures of everybody who walks through the door.
Are you? What did they say to that
and
one?
I log everybody. I literally log them so that when people leave and someone is sick and we hear about it, I can go back and see who was in the building
Yes.
on that particular day.
What are they saying to that? I've been out of state a few places and not encountered that either in Minnesota or elsewhere, to have the temperature taken. Do you have someone who will say no? Or
I've never been denied.
great.
Actually, when people come in, they're so used to it, our regulars particularly, they'll walk in and say, Judy, are you going to take my temperature today? Absolutely. So we go right on down the line, and we laugh about it because some of them are, as you get older, I think your temperature drops, and
That's
they
right.
are lower.
That's right.
So, but they seem to be very, very good with it. No problems at all. None.
Yes. Well, that's
Yep.
great.
Yep.
Megan, tell me what.
Well, first of all, any restaurant industry, you're going by some pretty high standards in the Washington County
Yep.
Health Department to begin with. But we all wear masks. Fridge. We all wear masks. We do everything they are asking us to do. We disinfect. I think it's impressive that you're taking everybody's temperature. I have.
I do too.
Yeah.
How about patrons? What are they asking you
What
to
are they
do?
asking
Yes.
me? To be honest, not a whole lot right now. I do have people that if they are concerned, a lot of times when we are there in the morning, they'll call and ask us to bring it out still.
Okay.
And I am more than happy to accommodate that, especially if they're taking care of us. I think that if you have a strong worry, you're not going out. My mother hasn't gone out since March.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you are in that category of that, you're not going out anyway.
I know people in California who have not. I mean, I would think they just stay under their bed for decades, okay?
Yeah.
But then it lifted and now it's back.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, suddenly they're asking me, are you going on any trips I can meet you on? So I mean, they want out. There's a point where I think the restriction just hits a psychological, it's it. That's it.
Yeah.
They want some kind of form of exit, and they're not extreme exits, luckily.
Yeah.
Customer base, age-wise, has that changed?
Are you asking me that? Okay.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
That's okay. They are the people that used to sit inside for the last 20-some
Yes.
years. We don't have them as much. So those were more of the, I hate saying older generation, but older generation. But we still get the whole shebang.
That's great.
So, yeah, whatever's comfortable.
Robin, what are you hearing as the demographics, in particular age? Have you seen changes or heard about them from different businesses?
Just coming into town.
Yeah, coming
and
into town, people who live here who are coming into the businesses, are they? I'll tell you, I kind of feel old next to a lot. I mean, when especially at church, I don't see anyone.
Yeah, I agree. It's all over the place. It's all ages, and it's in different manners. I would say that the seniors, they're more careful. You'll see them wearing masks even outside here. So many bikes now with the lift bridge reopening. That's brought a lot of people to the Stillwater area. The trails, we have so much to offer here. A lot of the locals are coming back downtown, and they're learning that they can find a place to park.
Correct.
And downtown is pretty cool, and it's their hometown. And we do have great restaurants and great retail shops. And you see a lot of kids coming down, a lot of people walking their dogs. So I think, to your point about people wanting to get out, it's become a mental health concern, very much so.
Absolutely.
And domestic calls are up. I just heard yesterday at a Rotary Club from the Sheriff Story. There are very big concerns, and then the whole George Floyd thing hit. And there are a lot of concerns about diversity and, everything around that as well. But I'm seeing a lot of new folks too coming from the metropolitan area, coming downtown here.
Oh, I could feel that in.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it was great. And then during what I call the ghost town days, during April and parts of May, I would see just several people who were walking, and it's then that was the end of the trail, literally and figuratively, because the restaurants, some of them didn't know they were open or not, and so it was really kind of sad to know that here could be this huge group that could be utilizing our wonderful restaurants and it not happening. So it was.
I will say too that some of the businesses are having a hard time getting their staff to come back. So we're looking at a workforce issue. We've been working with Washington County on that, with all the other chambers from across Washington County. We meet weekly. We've started that probably 2 months ago. It's been a great collaborative effort. And now with the unemployment, the extra $600 running out at the end of this month, I'm certainly hopeful that more people will get back to work if they can. If they can and they're able, they should.
Now, Megan alluded to this. Businesses that had online ability to order, drive-through pickup, delivery, things did well, seemed to have done well. I mean, better than the others. In fact, some tell me it was crucial and the only reason that they would have stayed in business during that time. Do you feel that businesses are now going to adapt more that way? Megan, go ahead.
I absolutely think so. I think if you are an entrepreneur, I think you have to look at your climate. You have to look at who is willing to go out, what's happening, and you have to adapt to it. And if that's online, it's something you have to do.
And I hope they feel...
I mean, I can't do coffee online.
No, right. Except
But-
order and pick up. Except
Yeah.
if you, yes.
Yep.
No, I hope they almost feel like they're in survival mode, meaning,
That's
you know,
how I
we
feel.
have right now we have this. We could have more of the same COVID. We could have something else. And I mean, anyone who's really business savvy is going to have to be thinking ahead now. We never, kind of didn't have to that much, as much. But do you have anything to say, Judy, on that?
I agree with Megan. Our takeout and our curbside is right. It has been since all of this the name of the game. People don't want to be in big groups in a smaller setting. They just don't. They're not comfortable with it. Am I totally comfortable with being in a big group of people? No. I have a husband who has underlying ailments, and I have a mother who has cancer, and so I don't want to bring home the virus to my family, and I totally understand. But in the future, I really honestly do believe that that's going to be the way that it's going to be going. I
I'm
do.
just going to ask you, a year from now,
Yep.
how do you envision the business model? Either for your business or overall, any around here. I mean, it's kind of hard to deliver. Well, I don't know. People are doing online car buying, so I can't really say, it's there. How much they're utilizing these methods, I'm not sure.
Well, with with the Legion, we just are now getting a company to come in, and they're going to be doing food on Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays for us. And so we're going to be having more than likely an online menu where they'll be able to, hopefully we'll be able to get deliveries going on in Bayport and around the area. We also are hoping that it's going to be able to bring more people in to spend some money at the bar and support our veterans and maybe do a little bit of gambling. I foresee it getting better probably after Labor Day is what my hope is.
And by better, do you mean more people willing to congregate together?
I'm hoping so. We need to find out if the children are going to be going back to school.
Right, I have a program coming up in a few weeks on that, so stay tuned
If they
on that.
do, I'm thinking that hopefully families will feel a little bit safer if they can get the kids back into school, because even if it's a couple of days a week, maybe switching off whatever their vision is. I'm kind of hoping that maybe families will feel more comfortable and they'll be able to come out and do more in the community and go in and support our local businesses and be with their families. There are people out there that are suffering right now from loneliness.
Absolutely.
And our suicide rate is up.
Terrible.
And so in the future, I hope by the end of the year, I really, really, really hope by the end of the year it's going to get better. But I also do think that curbside and online takeout is going to be the next best thing.
Megan, how about you? How do you envision the future?
I think it's
business
just going to be a
model?
mix.
Yeah.
I don't think, because there's people that are Tim, my husband and I have been saying this. We're the first round of Hunger Games here. We've been out from the get-go. And I'm not saying that we're, superhuman, that we can't get it, but that has allowed us to be a lot more comfortable. Mm-hmm. And I think when you step out of your home and you realize that life is still moving around you and that you can do things outside of the home. I mean, we're all sitting here spaced away from each other. You can be out in it. I think that's going to be a big deal. So, I think it's going to be a mixture of things, online, people coming out. We'll see. I think the school thing is a big one. It can go a lot of ways.
Absolutely, it can.
Financially,
But I think that will be a
too.
big one.
Yep.
If one of the partners loses their income, you bet. Robin, Oh my gosh, so many questions to ask you. What was the saddest thing you've seen in the last 4 or 5 months?
You asked a tough question to an optimistic person.
I know it is, and that's why I'm asking.
I felt for the businesses. I was a former small business owner myself, and I know that I would have gone out of business. I know I would have. I would not have been able to sustain.
What kind of business did you
I had
have?
a party planning and rental company.
Right.
And with all the canceled events, there's no way I wouldn't have been able to pay my rent. And so that's why my focus for the first couple months was really to understand what was coming out of the federal and the state government and ways of support for our small businesses. All of the cities were wonderful to work with. They all pivoted. I met with the mayors and the city administrators, and just, what can we do for these businesses? Council was great. They moved very quickly, and we all know government doesn't move fast. But I'll tell you what, they did this time around, and they did it for their community and for their local businesses.
On what I call deep cleaning, because I'm telling you, the hotels and the airlines and all the emails that I get, who is overseeing that in the businesses?
Business owners.
Or is
Absolutely.
Public Health Department all involved at all, Washington County? I don't know why they would, but
No,
I'm just asking.
all the requirements are coming from the feds and the state,
Okay.
and the chamber's been disseminating information. There's different associations depending on the type of business. They're probably getting guidance from as well. We've had a lot of calls. We've called almost every one of our members. I'm probably already called every one of our members so far. What do you need? We did some polls, and so we did as much as we could to make all this information simple, and it was not one size fits all for all the businesses.
No, it isn't.
Not at all. It was a challenge, and it was long days for our staff.
Let's go back to financial relief. See what is available. What have you taken the opportunity to utilize, and has it helped you? I'll start with Judy.
We were able to get a PPP loan.
And to explain that for people, I mean, some of this is so part and parcel of being a business owner, that I think everyone's worried about paying.
So that's a loan that we were able to get through the federal government.
And
Bayport Bank worked with us, and the house itself, so the Legion, was able to get a small loan just so that I could keep the bartenders on staff throughout COVID, and then our gambling operation, because they literally had zero money left, was able to get a loan through the federal government as well, stimulus package to pay to keep their staff on and keep our lights on in the building throughout the last 4 months. So it's if you are able to keep your staff on,
Yes.
and if you used the biggest majority of the money to pay payroll,
yes.
that majority of it should be forgiven.
Mm-hmm.
In the beginning, they said it would have been like a 1% payback interest rate. That has since changed.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly don't know what it is right now. Robin is fantastic about sending information out, and so is Bayport Bank. But me not being a very good mathematician,
But naturally, you open Robin's emails immediately, right? Because it's crucial.
Absolutely, we did. Yes.
Utmost, very important, updated information.
Yep. There is a grant that Robin had been sending out. Unfortunately, the Legion didn't qualify for the grant.
Oh,
But I would hope people would take the opportunity for it, because it really is a great opportunity for these small businesses to help them out.
are you utilizing the grant that she's referring to, Megan?
Is that the one that was through the?
SBA.
I signed up for it, but I never heard anything.
There's a lottery for that one, and results will be coming out
Yes.
Yeah,
soon.
I don't think I know, but I did file for that one.
What was it worth? Do you know?
I think it's up to 10,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Significant.
Yep.
But it's a lottery, and there's only, I think I figured it out, it's like 6,500 businesses would be able to get it.
Where,
out of the state of
statewide
Minnesota.
or U.S. wide or
The
what?
state of Minnesota.
State of Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got a PPE as well.
Okay.
For us, it was small, but it was great.
Yes.
Yep.
And I have to give I have an absolutely wonderful landlord. So in that first chunk of time, she gave us whatever we needed, but I did 1 month that I said, okay, I'm gonna do this just so that I can breathe and not be
Yes.
panicky and actually like focus my thoughts elsewhere. And then I said, if I need it, I'll ask you later. And she's totally amazing about that. So
Or I'll say.
I'm thankful for that, because landlords can make or break you. And then the PPE was wonderful to be able to pay for employees after, all that kind of stuff.
I mean,
too.
ideally, you're hoping
Yeah.
probably for additional financial resources.
Yep.
But
We were down a lot.
Let's say you don't get them.
Yep.
Can you go on as it is right now? Let's say you stay open. It even opens further. Is it sustainable? Your business?
It is. We ran out of money from the Legion side of it. We ran out of money at the end of June. No, it was the middle of June. Our cutoff was June 25th. That was that would have been the day we were to be finished with it anyway. So we ran out just prior to that. I was able to keep staff on and paid and still being paid throughout.
That's great.
Gambling did too. Gambling
Right.
has done pretty good. Thank God for that small loan that we got. Some of the staff on the gambling end decided to go for the layoff money, but we had a small handful there that stayed with us and said, "I'm just going to take your pay and we're going to hang with you guys," because maybe they're part-time, maybe they have a husband that has money coming in. So, but for the people that are single and have children, they had to opt to get the bigger paychecks.
Megan, is your business sustainable right now?
I'm not going anywhere.
Good girl.
I like the attitude.
On it,
You
I
have to
bought-
love it.
I bought the store when I was 23, and I should have never bought this store at 23. And my husband and I work really, really well together. Back the train up on that one. I have amazing customers too, and if I can keep having people come in like they're doing, or even curbside pickup if they start to get uncomfortable again, then yes, we'll be able to stay around.
Yeah,
I'm
much
too
like
stubborn.
Judy, very loyal
Yeah.
customers that have helped. Yeah, and you've got to see that too. Those types
Yeah,
of
and I'll
businesses.
just mention the payment protection program.
Yes.
It originally was 8 weeks where businesses were going to have to start repaying, and the chambers across the state of Minnesota worked with the Minnesota Chamber and the U.S. Chamber to advocate to Washington that's unreasonable, because some of these businesses weren't even back open. So you would only get the money if you were able to pay the staff, but they couldn't be open. So the policy was extremely inconsistent, and so we did what we could, and we got that extended to 24 weeks, which makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Like I said, there was so many things happened so fast. I worked 12 years in government in my past life, and what they did so quickly was just admirable, really.
That's great.
Yeah.
As businesses have opened, and I've seen it other cities, I'm not staring at it down here, nor would I comment, so I'll let you comment. Are you seeing more people doing what I call risque behavior, not wearing masks, not social distancing? Have they become too lax? And I'll start with you, Megan.
We definitely have a mix. I'd say the majority of the people coming in are masked in our store. They're not masked outside as much. I'm not the mask police on that one. But I would say that it's mixed.
Mm-hmm.
I think some people do get a little lax on it.
Mm-hmm.
Depends on your level of conspiracy theory or not on everything, to be honest.
if the Governor Walz, joins other governors of the majority of states and says, yes, we're going to mandate the masks, are you going to lose? Do you feel fearful of losing?
I don't. I absolutely don't. It's kind of hard to drink a drink with the mask on. So
It's the coming in with it. Would they come in with
they
it?
would absolutely come in with it.
You'd make sure of it as you did their
I
temperature.
would, because I would be standing at the door, and I would make sure that they.
Robin, has anyone turned to you at any of the businesses and said, look, you got to help be a mask police?
That's not what our role is.
And do you have you had anyone? Nope, but the question
will
is,
say
have they
that.
asked you?
We have gotten complaints with some restaurants not wearing masks, and they're technically by the governor's orders. They should be. And, it's not for us to enforce. And so I think I view it as 50-50 as well.
Mm-hmm.
I have a new grandson, so I try to wear one whenever possible just for him. It's going to be interesting. Kowalski's just mandated them, as you know, Walmart, Target. So
Walmart was a shock for people. They
Yeah,
really
it sure
thought-
was. Apparently, there were domestics in there. To your question of some people the people that had them on were not happy with the people that did not have them on, even though they were not required.
Yeah.
So there were some issues there, from what I understood, from our Oak Park Heights Walmart here. So, I guess it just is what it is. We should do whatever it takes to stop the spread, and and to make sure these businesses succeed. And if it's wearing masks, then so be it. I'm worried about the economy. I'm worried about these local businesses. The local businesses here, for the most part, the business owners, they live here.
Yeah, I know that.
This is where they live. This is where they're raising their kids. So I think, regardless of your beliefs, maybe it's time just to step up and do what we have to do to keep our community safe and secure.
And this is for all three of you. All businesses are exposed, for a lack of a better word, to bad publicity and or potential lawsuits where the person or persons suing claims that they got COVID from an establishment. Do any of you fear this? Megan, I'll begin with you. Either bad publicity and or lawsuits.
I'm kind of at a point where if you choose to step out of your house, you could get it anywhere. I have been in the general public. I've never been out of the general public. And we've been exposed to thousands and thousands and thousands of people, masked, unmasked. I'm not saying I can't get it or any of that kind of stuff, but I feel like, this is going to sound terrible, but I feel like people need to take ownership in their own being and where they're at and what they're doing. Because, like my children, I bring them to a park. But at the end of that park, their hands are sanitized. Or more than likely, we go wash their hands and things like that. I think if you're doing what you need to do, then that is your responsibility. We're doing everything we're required. We are cleaning the
And probably more.
And
You
more.
Yes, because you do want to
So,
stay in
yeah.
business. Yeah.
we have pulled everything that is touched
Right.
away from the public. Everything.
Sure.
Everything. And so, for a while, we even weren't letting people come close to our counter. We had chairs in front of it and had to grab things from afar and stuff like that. So, I don't know. I'm not worried, but I also tend to hope for better of people. So,
How about you,
Yeah.
Judy?
Well, we removed half our bar stools. We removed half our tables.
In half the problems, right? Just kidding. You
Right?
never know.
So we're social distancing in our building.
Uh-huh.
I feel like Megan does. It's your decision to go out in public. It's your decision to not wear a mask. It's your decision to not wash your hands. I'm hoping that people are doing that.
Right.
If somebody wants to sue the Legion because they came down with COVID, I think it would be kind of hard for them to prove they got it in our building.
It would be very
It
difficult.
would be very difficult.
Unless there were a group
Right.
gathered and, you could find some kind of
Yeah.
thing. But I think it's the bad publicity. And with social media, mean, oh my gosh. I mean, a lot of bars closed.
A lot of them did.
Vegas, the whole thing
Yep.
went down by, just because of some bars and that. So it's almost like a free for all, and you're kind of at your hope,
Yeah.
for the better of people.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Of course.
Social media is social media. Someone's going to say something no matter what you do. And you have to have thick skin as a business owner, because you could do everything right. And if those people are not there to support you, to encourage you, to love what you're doing, to have your product, they're going to say something negative anyway. I call people that like to do the negative part underwear keyboard cowboys, because they do it not to your face. Because if
Correct.
I make somebody a bad drink, I would hope you'd come to me and tell me.
Right.
So that's kind of what I feel about social media. I think you just need to throw that out the window
Right.
and really not worry about it. I mean, you could do better,
Right.
but
And Robin, you're well aware that some cities have taken an overall hit just because some businesses may not have correctly prevented some of, or should have done other things. Are you worried at all about?
No, I'm actually impressed with our local businesses. They've really stepped up to the plate. There's been a couple known cases or possible cases in a few of the establishments here in the Valley, and they've closed for a couple weeks. They took their own personal responsibility for their business and for the safety of the community to do that, and I applaud that. I think it's a personal liability thing, I agree with both these ladies here.
It's hard.
Yeah, and you can't really prove where you got it. How can you do that? I mean, you're getting gas, you're going to the grocery store. I just think that everyone needs to take personal responsibility to do what we should have been doing anyway, washing our hands all the time, and don't go out when you're sick. Stay away from people when you're sick. It's a lot of it is common sense and personal respect for other people.
Unfortunately, in our litigious society, there are people who will take advantage of this, I'm sure. I'm sure we'll start seeing some of that. Okay, fixed costs like insurance, lease or rent payments, property taxes, in most cases, and you seem to have been able to work through or have some great landlord, did not go on lockdown. I mean, there are costs that have to be paid. Tell me how you've handled this. So it sounds like you worked very well with your landlord, at least when it came to...
we worked really well with our landlord, but I also have a very strong relationship with my banker. I from the age of 23.
Jeez, we all got to get connected to Megan here, don't we?
Well, no, I've had issues before, whether it's COVID, whether it's anything. I've had an espresso machine break. My espresso machine is $20,000. So if you get into this situation, you better have backing. You better have people that have your back, and you've hopefully proven to them that you can pay things back. At First State Bank,
Yep.
Scott Faust, he's been my banker
Yep.
since I was 23, and he looked at me at the beginning of this, and he's like, "We got you." So no matter what, I feel like that is part of a business owner too, is making sure you have backup. Not saying that all the other places,
Right,
but
I'm sure.
it's a downtown Stillwater is not an easy place. I shouldn't say that. I don't want people to be dissuaded about being a business owner, but you got to have some strength to get through a lot of this with our winters and stuff. And most of these
Absolutely.
people are pretty darn strong people, and you have backing. You have a lot of. You should.
Yep.
I remember seeing a landlord going door to door, and it was at the end of the month, and
Yep.
I'm sure he wasn't there shopping because there wasn't anything to buy. Doors
really
where
lucky.
businesses were closed, and I mean, wow! I kept thinking of that person. Everyone has bills to pay. Judy, tell me about your experience on this.
So I tried the insurance, the insurance piece. I went to our insurance broker that we have, local guy, and he flat out said that our insurance does not cover this. And I said, okay. So we were able to have enough money in the bank to pay our own utilities, because gambling couldn't afford to do it. We did it Thankfully, Washington County moved our property tax into July. So we were just able to pay that last week and had enough money to be able to do that. Since they did give people a break, because normally they're due in April, but they moved all that back a few months, which was very, very helpful. We've just been, I think it's because we had enough money maybe in our account that we were able to sustain.
Mm-hmm.
Did it dwindle? Yeah.
Sure.
But we cut back on a lot of other things that we're used to spending money on, and we just don't do it right now, you know.
Robin, do you hear
So-
from a lot of businesses that worry, different expenses coming in that are due regardless of how their business is done?
Yes. So Washington County did delay property taxes, which really helped a lot of the
It did.
businesses. For the chamber, we're a 501c6, so we are also a nonprofit. Our landlord gave us half-price rent for a couple months, which was wonderful, very
yes.
generous. And I heard a lot of folks, not a lot, but some, have done the same thing. The cities, the municipalities as well have prorated liquor license when the restaurants and bars couldn't be open, which was really fantastic.
Great, yes.
And decreased some fees or eliminated them altogether. And what good thing has come out of this is people working together and people having each other's backs, and I think that's great. Just real quick, the CARES Act has issued more money to the state of Minnesota, and Washington County got, I believe, $30 million. And there will be grants, forgivable grants for small businesses from 1 to 50 employees for up to $15,000 forgivable. So that's coming down the pipeline, and that money is to pay if you're late for your rent or your utilities or whatever that looks like. In addition, the municipalities also are getting money, and there'll be grants. For example, the City of Stillwater Council's looking at what that's going to look like at their August 4th council meeting. So again, really, it has not gone unnoticed that the lifeblood of our country are small businesses, and we need to help them. However, we need to help them, and I think the country's doing a great job of it. I really do.
I do too. Judy, were you about to say something? Anyone
I just
raising
was-
their
I'm-
microphone
I'm-
is as
I'm
fair
just
game.
so curious about this insurance thing.
Yeah.
My husband and I got some money back because we're not driving. I'm working from home on my normal day job, and so State Farm apparently is giving people money back.
Right.
What I'm curious about is why insurance companies aren't giving it to businesses that have to pay rent on other, like our gambling sites. We pay rent to have gambling spots, our booths.
Yes.
And we pay a lot of rent, but I'm very curious.
I
as
know
to
that
why
their
we're not
argument,
getting-
one of theirs, another firm, said it had to do with the driving and the fewer accidents and that.
Right.
So I at no point did I heard anything on that it was even
it's just really
business
interesting because
focused
we
at
had
all.
no staff that was going out and actually driving to the sites, and they weren't working, and
Right.
we pay a ton for. You darn right we do, and we just aren't getting anywhere with it. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
We had to still pay rent,
Mm-hmm.
up until we closed, but we paid the full month even though we were actually shut down. But we've had to pay insurance the whole time that we weren't. And I thought maybe it would be fair if people, small businesses, got a little bit of a rebate for something, like the homeowners did,
Well,
That's a great question. I think we need to look into that, and I would encourage you to contact your insurance agent.
I have, but
Have you?
yeah, I have. Yeah.
they say, yeah. Haven't we all tried to contact
Yeah,
all of them?
yeah.
Never available.
Yeah.
A person, let's just pretend, a person who's never been in business comes to you, all three of you, and says, I want to open one in our community. What would you tell that person based on your experience in the past several months?
It better be something you love. I mean, honestly, do it as long as you love it, as long as you have financial backing. But Yeah, you gotta love it. You gotta be willing to do everything you possibly can.
And even lose everything, wouldn't you agree? I mean, if you really think about this, if you're up front, you say, go in it with all the love, but be ready to lose. In other words, don't tie your whole other world into it, your
My
house
whole
and all
world is
that.
tied into it,
Right.
but I'm not gonna. You really have to have gumption to be an owner, and the ones that like really push through are the ones that are willing to push through. And I don't mean that to be rude to anybody, because right now is weird. Right now, there's things that are beyond your control. So I'm not talking about those like the party establishment stuff and that kind of thing. I mean, if you're going to go into that, then you might want to wait a little bit. But if you love something and you're ready and you have everything put together, you have backing, the world's still moving. I mean, nothing's stopped.
Yeah.
I honestly, there's just, you got to find ways around everything right now, and that's about it. But you have to have that creative mentality to be able to do it.
I consider you quite strategic, Megan.
Yeah.
That's
I
a
agree. I
compliment.
totally agree with you, Megan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you got to be really creative, like the people downtown here who opened up their little bistros outside their doors, and it's, and if you love what you do, don't let nothing stop you from doing it. Win or lose, it's whatever is going to make you happy is what's important.
Is there anything we have not addressed that you would like to convey to our viewers? Any area?
Well, I was talking with Robin before we started all this, and not only did COVID hit the Bayport Legion, we also got hit with road construction. Road construction has been very hard on us. We have zero parking anymore out front. But I do want to let our locals know that do love to come to the Legion and play bingo and eat dinner and share drinks with family and friends, that even though you can't park on Main Street, we still do have, you can park at City Hall, you can park on the side streets. We're still going to go with our Friday night bingos. We want it to succeed, and we really, really want people to still be able to come in and support all of our local businesses, our small businesses who are suffering, and just give whatever you possibly can.
So basically, are you saying you understand their fears and you're addressing them so they know you're not?
We absolutely are addressing them.
Okay.
We are doing everything we can. I've been working with the city of Bayport. I'm in contact literally 2-3 times a week with our road construction guys, because they're always out there. They've been wonderful to us for our curbsides. They're trying really hard. It's our handicapped people in wheelchairs and that come in that there's nowhere for them to park. And so we still want you to be able to come in and see us. If you want to drive up to the front door, our staff would literally go out and stop traffic for you so that you can still come in.
And they won't have to take a temperature if they just drive up and get the food, right?
Absolutely. No temperatures.
Will they?
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Megan.
The last thing I would have to say is the longer this goes on,
Yeah.
Stillwater is very much in its tourist season right now. So we're not only getting our locals, we're getting our tourists. So we are getting our boom right now. If this keeps going, we really need the locals to come out after this is all gone, or after the tourist season ends, and keep us going if this extends further. And I'm not saying you gotta, shell out tons of stuff, but just like my family, we pick at least a restaurant or two a week, and we try to do something every week, and we spread it out just to put we don't make a lot of money either, but we know that everything here, I just want everyone supported. So if you can come back out, if you're worried about the tourist season, come back out, and we'll try to take care of you afterwards as well.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you all for joining me. Thank the viewers. Remember to shop and eat locally.